the internationals in the past, it would be very surprising to see them gone as well.
All right, let's hop into draft and see what we've got. It's PSG on blue for our first match here, as we have Nico and Aurora banned out on their side, Yunara and Azir banned out on the other. This is about the most common set of bans you could see. This one, however, does throw a little bit more into the mix. The Akali, obviously a very targeted ban towards Miru on the side of VKS. This guy is the standout, the star player on this roster, so throwing some extra target bans his way, I think makes sense.
Also says to me they were trying to set up for this Orianna first pick on PSG Talon side, now not able to. I wonder, will they just default to the Wukong, or is there something else that they're starting to prioritize that a little bit higher coming into this?
I mean, Wukong is available, Sion is available, a lot of these powerful early picks.
As an EU person, I've realized you don't pick Sion when Trundle's still available, all right? We've realized that already against PLG.
All right. We've got a couple of lessons learned here. So instead, I think they agree with you. They're going to go with the Wukong. I feel like this has emerged as pretty solidly the strongest jungler on the patch. Teams are always happy to be locking it in, and I'm sure PSG will be happy to get it for Karsa.
Yeah, they'll be very, very happy, and it's something that Karsa can perform on. And honestly, I think Karsa has been putting in fantastic performances in the early games. It's just been when it gets to the team fights and around those objective setups that they just weren't able to match up toe-to-toe against people like Hanwha Life and Gen G. That Sion, though, going to be taken on the opposite side because there is no Trundle.
Exactly. You either have to play Trundle top into him, which is not super common these days.
We also learned that in EU because Oscar Vernon tried us. So we have a lot of learnings when it comes to Sions.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are...
Yeah, we've got the whole smorgasbord.
All right. All of the lessons of Sion are learned in Europe. We have discovered here today, but it will be the Sion locked in for VKS. There for Wall in the top side. Desamas will lock in the Xin Zhao for himself. So two very powerful junglers here for both sides in game one.
And definitely something that gives Desamas the opportunity to try and be that bit more aggressive levels 1 through 5, where he can have impact in the lanes as long as he's got set up. So I'm now curious what we get for the likes of Trimby. So I want that engaged support, something that can provide CC, enable a Xin Zhao to get access into this bottom side of the map and try and play around this early game a little bit better for Vivo K.
Okay, we've got the Ambessa locked in now for PSG and for Aja, and it's worth pointing out that Sion is Boal's most played throughout summer. Ambessa is Aja's second most played throughout summer. So both of these guys going to be on pretty extreme comfort here in the top lane for game one.
Yeah, and even, I mean, Maple taking the rise. This guy's been around for so many years. He's going to be more than happy to operate in this kind of 1-3-1 style. And this is something the PSG Talon domestically work quite strong on. I would have to see if they're going to be able to bring that now to the main stage as well. Maybe okay, though. We're going to have to see what they want to try and answer with, because, again, I think you kind of have to take your mid laner here to answer the rise, and it will be that Talia.
Okay, taking the Talia. I like this as well because, yes, Miru has played it a couple of times. It's not a trademark Miru champion or anything throughout summer, but it is Maple's most played by a country mile over on the other side. So since we are in Fearless, this will also deny the Talia for the remaining 2 games. I like this here.
Yeah, and it's also strong into the Wukong. Plus, when you've got the slow from the wind becomes lightning, hitting that seismic shove becomes significantly easier. So you've got a decent mid-jungle pairing, and it's something that you can look to try and play through on VKS's sides. However, moving into this next rotation, it will be 80 carries that are next on the chopping block, with neither Mortes or Betty having any sort of answer right now. And I think it's a good call. Betty has looked very strong across not only opportunities domestically, but also at points during the course of this series and internationals in the past. So taking that focus on him makes a lot of sense here.
Okay, Caitlyn off the board. We'll see if we want to continue targeting those long-range AD carries or if the switch changes to support instead. And yeah, looking at the Poppy. Remember, the support Poppy from just the last series was very impactful, so keeping that one off the table could be a good choice here. 1 AD carry ban, 1 support ban. Obviously, both teams only looking at bot laners here for this second half of the draft. What else do we want to see banned by VKS?
Well, honestly, if I'm VKS, the thing I'm worried about is kind of tank shredders. So I'd honestly be looking not at like the traditional AD carries that we've seen thus far at the tournament, but actually things like the Jinx and maybe even things like the Aphelios for some of these fights. Aphelios is a little bit harder to operate, but I definitely think I'd be looking more at those opportunities for PSG Talon. Now, I know Kaiwing is kind of the guy that would go for the Thresh coming out of the LCP, but still something like a Jinx Thresh I think can work in this sort of situation.
Well, we've got the Lucian banned out. So VKS, with Lucian and Caitlyn banned away, that feels to me like they're looking to remove some of the most lane-dominant type of opponents there with the AD carries. Braum banned out by PSG. This makes a lot of sense to me. When you already have Wukong and Mbessa, you do not want something that excels against melee opponents and excels against counter-engage.
Especially if it actually, instead of going towards a Jinx Thresh, they're going to go towards something like a Kai'Sa Alistar, right? Just try and bypass that front line of the Sion and then try and find that access to the back line. Looks like the Alistar, though, going to be snatched away. So Woody, is it Leona? Is it Nautilus? Maybe the Nautilus is your best answer here?
Yeah, we've got the Alistar. Now the Kai'Sa, remember, in the previous series, we did see the information come up on the screen that Kai'Sa is 1-8 so far at this event. She went up to 2-8 after that game because they did secure a win.
Solid improvement.
2-8, a 20% win rate is not exactly what you want to see.
No, you're not filling me with hope here. But I think you're kind of stuck, to be perfectly honest, PSG Talon. Either you go for, again, like Jinx, and go for hey, we're just going to go for a full front to back. But that opens up then for Morteus to try and answer in kind with something like the Aphelios, or you try and go for the Kai'Sa and take the opposite end. So I think for PSG Talon, it is a bit tough to be in this position.
Okay, they lock Rakan. So again, it's more engage. It's more full send. It's more of this ability to dive right in. And instead, okay, no Kai'Sa this time around, but we are going to get one of the champions that is tied for Betty's most played throughout the summer, the Corki, locked in. This does have some powerful DPS potential as the game goes on to get through something like the front wall of a Sion.
It does feel like for PSG Talon, though, they need to get the ball rolling early, because otherwise you just don't have that, especially locking in the Senna if they're going to go for it. Your DPS is severely lacking. Maybe that actually will give an opportunity for PSG Talon to come back. Yeah, okay, they go with the Sivir instead. So looking at PSG Talon, like good side lane control and a decent lane neutralizer in the Corki to try and just provide access for PSG Talon to play a 1-3-1. And if they can find picks and snowball through that, that is their win condition. But for Vivo Cage, I mean, great scaling, decent side lane in the Talia, fantastic front to back. They are all about playing this slow, steady grind through PSG Talon as they look for those objectives.
And I like the Sivir, particularly when I look at Sivir, I look at how easy is the spell shield in the lane for the matchup. Rakan's Grand Entrance, you better not miss it. Corki's Phosphorus Bomb, it sails through the air at the speed of molasses, right? Like, both of the main spells that your opponents use to trade are very easy to spell shield. So I like this pick here. We'll see how well it works out for VKS and PSG, who have both not yet found their first wins here at Worlds 2025. Both now have to battle through 3 best-of-3 wins in a row if they want to make it to the next stage.
I do agree with the desk, though, in that one of those roads have felt a little bit easier to try and go through, right?
Yeah.
You have Hanwha, you have Gen G for PSG Talon, and although they did try their damnedest, and they did give them a good run for their money, they just weren't quite able to take down the LCK Seed 1 and 2, which I personally think is fairly okay. Whereas for Vivo
it's a tough draw.
Yeah, whereas for Vivo Cade, it just wasn't quite the same. And I think that's where, if you're coming into this game, I'm favoring PSG Talon, because like it was Team Secret Wales and FlyQuest that Vivo Cade lost to. Yeah. And I think there's a little bit of a difference there between the two squads.
And if you look back at the game that was played against Team Secret Wales by VKS, it was very scrappy early. It was VKS invading at level 1, getting punished, but then getting something back. It was VKS trying to make a play on the top side and misexecuting and getting punished, but then getting something back. And so they would have just kind of these back and forth swingy plays that they would start but miscalculate, but then they would still be able to find something. It was unfortunately for them the Rift Herald where the game got completely blown open in that one. Their matchup against FlyQuest, unfortunately, there's not a lot to really talk about because it was just very one-sided for FlyQuest. So for VKS, what I want to see here is I do want to see them continue to play aggressive, but as they play aggressively, I want them to really make sure they've got those calculations down and they're hitting it when they first go in.
Because it also feels like we haven't got to see the VKS that we saw in LTA, where they would get these early leads, use that to overload a side lane, find those success and find the picks in a side lane, and be able to blow a game open like that. Instead, they've been on the back foot, look like they're doubting themselves. And even when they go for some of these side lane plays, they aren't even working out for them. Like, I was heartbroken for them in the FlyQuest game, where they went for that dive with the Jarvan, and I mean, barely not able to finish off the FlyQuest bot lane.
And you can see here on your screen right now, Brazil actually has a pretty rough relationship with the APAC teams, the teams that comprise the region now known as the LCP, here for the past few years. Back in 2021, it was Peace eliminating Red Canids, excuse me, then DFM eliminating Loud in 2022. In 2023, GAM eliminated Rainbow 7 and Loud, and then in 2024, Pain eliminated VKE. So that one, kind of 2024 being a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, it was like they Power Rangered into the mech that could then take on everything that came out of LATAM and CBLOL, because it's not like it's LJL, it's OCE, it's what was the LCP, like all of these coming together, sorry, the LMS, all these coming together to take on VKS now, and it's PSG Talon, who are a very difficult team to face off against. And I don't know how VKS can try and overcome it. They haven't looked as confident, and I need them to try and find that success once more if they hope to take down PSG Talon.
And back on your point about playing against the Korean #1 and #2 seeds, the task doesn't become much taller than that in terms of the draw that you get for your first couple of matchups here during Swiss stage, or back in the olden days, the group stage, right? You don't want to start off having to play against teams like that, because I know a lot of teams, a lot of players talk about momentum. They talk about mindset. They talk about how much easier it is when you feel like you've got a couple of warm-up games and you're really in your motion to be able to continue that motion versus just having to play against two of the top contenders in the whole thing at the very beginning. But they did do pretty well, at least in the early stages of those games. PSG, despite falling behind in both games, secured the feat of warfare in both. So they were looking for kills and they were finding opportunities. And now that they're up against an opponent of a significantly lower caliber, I want to see them also remain bloodthirsty, remain hungry to make these plays happen.
Well, I do like that we're already seeing Desamas at least trying to be a little bit more bloodthirsty, just showing up in that mid lane, see if he could punish the Rise on the early levels, but not quite able to make it happen. That's what I want to see from Desamas, especially in this game. Try and get active pre-level 6. See if you can implement some of these lanes you could set up, but it's Trimby taking a lot of damage, having to burn the heal to escape away.
Yeah, the Alistar not in great shape down here, but Desamas does have a distinct advantage in this game compared to the previous two, and that is he is not playing Jarvan. So he was, unfortunately, on a champion that wound up with a pretty rough win rate in his first couple of games. This time around on the Xin Zhao, on one of these champs that has just been a staple, I feel like, worldwide throughout all of summer, has just been a reliable kind of everything. Swiss Army knife champion in the jungle. So I hope that he can find some angles for some plays here. As early on, honestly, not a whole lot happening from either side. Desamas just going to sweep, make sure that there's not that common chicken pit ward in his jungle, make sure that they don't have any eyes on him as those chickens spawn for the second time.
Oh, actually, great engage here.
Yeah, nice double knock-up coming out there from Trimby as Betty already had to use the barrier and the flash. Wants to get away. Morteos going forward in his first blood over to Brazil. VKS first on the board.
Huge win for VKS on the bottom side. Morteos getting off to a great start thanks to that engage from Trimby. And it's not only the fact that you get the kill, this is a nice wave that will be lost for PSG.
Yeah, it's not like Corky's one of those 80 carries that's playing teleport. He dies, he just teleports back into the lane. It's not that bad. He's got to walk all the way back down there. Let's take another look at how this started with Trimby's nice knockup.
Yeah, especially as Trimby had already taken a bit of a beating on these first few, but at least getting to heal up on the Alistar. And Betty tries to step up to follow, but Morteus, good spell shield. And then Trimby barely getting that auto attack as well to finish off Betty. And Woody tried desperately here with the Quill into Flash to heal his AD carry. Does force Morteus' flash, but it's still the kill in the end.
Exactly, and even though you force Morteus' flash, Betty had to spend both summoner spells as well. So when you look down there at the bottom lane, it's still summoner spell advantage for the side of VKS. They've still got barrier on Morteus, they've still got flash, not just hex flash, real flash on Trimby. So still playmaking opportunities available for them, and we'll see if they try to do anything with that. If they try to bring Desamas down here, Miru level 6 on the Talia could also be a playmaker moving towards the bottom lane with the Weaver's Wall.
I actually thought VKS might use this as a chance to go for an early dragon, because essentially this Corky can't contest the wave state at all if Desamas is on this bottom side, but not feeling convinced that they could go for it. Instead, they're going to move Desamas back up towards the top side as it spawns, and it looks like try and use this advantage instead once they start getting towards those void groups.
All right, Aja trying to keep the pressure on Boal up here in the top side, and you can see the farm is telling the story on its own, Dag, that it is nearly a 400 gold lead for Aja. He is 3 waves ahead of Boal in terms of farm. The Ambessa running the matchup here nice and early, but as we know, Sion's job, even if he can't stay even in the lane, as long as he's getting some farm, as long as he's stacking Soul Furnace, he'll still be able to do a good job frontlining in the fights later.
Yeah, that's essentially it. Sion and these tanks, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And especially when you've already got the Sivir off to a nice start, makes things significantly easier. Like, it's a BF sword to a Cull and a Tier. That is not exactly where you want to be in the matchup.
He's got the glowing moat.
The fairy moat?
It's a glowing moat. Yeah, 5-hole ability haste.
Actually, do you know what? That will make the difference. Yeah, it's the Corki who's winning, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's giving you 0.4 second cooldown on your phosphorus bomb, surely. But no, I always remember Kobe telling me that he hates buying that thing. It just feels like you didn't make a purchase at all because the impact of it is so small. Compared to a BF sword, which, especially on a champion like Sivir, which already excels at pushing the wave, Morteus and Trimby should just have total control over the tempo of this bottom lane.
Yeah, and that's why, like, again, I kind of want to see Desamas getting active in the early stage. It was great play from Trimby and Morteus to set that one up, but now Dragon, there we go. I was going to say started by Desamas because I think you could, well, should be started. I think you're in a decent position here with push mid and boss, but maybe worried about a Void Grub trade, or are we just going to look for the dive?
Might just be wrapping around for a dive here. Does pop his sweeper to make sure that he's not detected. Trimby almost level 6. Achieves that one as those minions are down. Desamas moving around, and Betty and Woody, they know something is up here because their own jungler is up at the grubs and nobody on the VKS side is around to contest. So that means they must be up to something somewhere else. That somewhere else is exactly where Betty and Woody are. So Betty's gonna go ahead, just take the opportunity to go for a recall here. He'll buy the fully completed phage, but he loses a lot of minions down there in the bottom lane. But at least PSG, in the meantime, they do not let this dive succeed and they get all 3 grubs.
And this is a bit of a gamble from VKS. Giving 3 grubs to a 1-3-1 comp always feels a little bit scary, but it is a good investment in Morteus and saying, if we can get this lead on the Sivir, if we can play towards our team fighting strength and Betty just isn't in position to match, that's where we can come alive. And going for that early dragon, you can force those fights to the 3rd dragon, and it'll be huge for VKS if they can do so.
All right, so objective handshake plus the advantage of losing the wave there for Betty when he had to recall because of the threat of the dive. Honestly, pretty solid moves here from VKS, but I'm not going to lie to you, Dagda. With these 2 teams going head-to-head, I'm very surprised we only have 1 kill on the board almost 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it's very surprising to me as well. The only reason I think PSG Talon have to take a bit of a back foot is obviously bot lane not going so hot. Also, you've got the Wukong, which kind of wants a little bit of time before it can really get active in those lanes.
Yeah.
But now that you have both Karsa and Aja ticking over to that level 6 and having those ultimates available, this is where I think you can get very aggressive if you want to try and play on some of these side lanes.
All right, Desamas and Karsa, both still 0, 0, and 0. You already talked about how Wukong likes to power farm. Xin Zhao sometimes can do the same thing, but I really like to see him out on the map, getting involved in the lanes. If nothing else, at least blowing a couple flashes, making the lanes less safe for his enemy laners if he can, but still no effect anywhere yet for him, as we do have Karsa getting invaded right now by Trimby, but Trimby's just doing his busy work as a support, getting that vision down in the enemy jungle, just trying to track Karsa as he potentially looks for any of these plays. Level 9 on Maple in the mid lane does not yet have the Rod of Ages fully completed to start stacking, but it would be very early to do so. Woody takes about half of his HP there from a nice seismic shove combo built off the Pulverize from Trimby, but he's not really worried a whole lot about anything more, as Karsa is going to show up now. Quick crushing blow onto Trimby, but again, nobody really wants to fully commit to anything.
Yeah, I will also say, to give Betty his due, despite the pressure that has gone down towards that bot side, hasn't actually fallen any further behind in CS. Remember, he died and lost 6 CS to the turret, but has just stayed within essentially touching distance this entire time, so not being pushed even further behind, which I'm kind of surprised at, especially with the pressure that is there. Should be able to pick up this wave and kind of match. So for PSG Talon, if the game does kind of slow down and you're able to get this Cole popped onto Betty, suddenly he's matching Morteus significantly closer when it comes to gold, and VKS haven't really done anything with the lead.
And I always like to see champions with stacking items. Hold on, Desamas going forward. 3 Talon strike, finds Karsa. Cyclone looking to turn it around. A lot of damage back into VKS, but it's not quite enough. VKS now turning their attention back over on Dead Maple. Betty rotates up for the bottom lane. Desamas going to be in some danger, and PSG have found the kill. Low HP on Karsa, but he's not dead yet. Bawal here in the front line, but Trimby's the target. Maple with a little bit more, but the overload does not hit. VKS won't get anybody back just yet. Trimby with a flash headbutt pulled, double seismic shove, beautiful moves coming out from the VKS support. Feet of Warfare claimed for the Brazilian squad as Miru wants another. Betty has been found in his own jungle. Miru gets him with the auto attack. Betty with a late flash. Now Aja's gonna die too. Karsa's about to die next. He flashes over the wall just to try to survive. VKS nearly aced him at 12 minutes.
VKS are playing out of their minds in these fights. Trimby's pulverizes on point again, and there's just so little that PSG Talon can do to respond.
Let's take another look at this, as it was VKS wanting to get scrappy.
And this looked a little dicey here because there was a huge amount invested on towards Karsa's clone. They thought that they had him, so they all in, but instead Karsa managed to escape. But the TP here, very aggressive from Bawal, then the turn onto the Samus was really good from PSG Talon. The Ultra Magia holding Bawal in place. And this is where it looked like it could have been a disaster, but Trimby, taxiing off the minion, knows that if he can just set up the play, the combo's there with Miru, and they tear through PSG Talon.
1v2, go. Very good. Fight. He can combo. Yeah, no. Lolo, kill him. No.
Honestly huge there. It was Trimby's Alistar turning that play around. VKS now with a 2,000 gold lead. 30 seconds until the next dragon spawns. Then only a minute after that, the Rift Herald is going to join the Rift. PSG looked like they had a better time in that fight, but when you're going up against VKS, Trimby might have been the one who made the big plays there, but Miru has been the hero of this team throughout the year. This guy has been a star player in the LTA South, and he feels like he kind of has that secret sauce. He's like the, for the EU metaphor, he's like the Caps of Brazil. If he's on the team, your team ends up doing really well.
Yeah, whichever team he has joined has suddenly shot up the charts, and the fact that he was able to come across the VKS and help them out so much in summer. And he looks fantastic. The Talia flicks have been on point this game with the help of the setup, and if Miru and Trimby are feeling themselves like this, that's going to be a very different story for PSG Talon, who just haven't found that success in this early game.
Exactly. It was the Trimby pulverize into the unraveled earth, into the seismic shove from Miru that got those 2 kills, and then Miru riding the Weaver's Wall into the back line, setting up for the additional kill onto Betty. And I feel like Betty in that last fight just got a little greedy. Looks like Trimby's getting a little bit greedy now. Does end up getting ignited here. The redemption not really going to matter a whole lot as Trimby is already down. So a nice pickup there from PSG, punishing Trimby.
Also just good timing on it because Rift Herald about to spawn in 15 seconds, so you're missing your Alistar now before he gets into that objective. Doesn't have that ultimate on the Unbreakable available either. So this might give PSG Talon the pick they need to set up for that objective.
Level 11 on both of the solo laners for VKS and on Maple as well for the PSG side. Just still needing a little bit extra EXP before the Ambessa hits that point. So it looks like nobody on PSG going to start up the Rift Herald here just yet. Trimby will have enough time to make it back out onto the map.
Yeah, it looks like we're Karsa very close at level 11. He's been doing a great job of power farming this whole time. So I think he should tick level 11 here, maybe just shy before this Herald starts. And that could be a really nice spike because Aja just hitting level 11 as well. That second point in the ultimate could be clutch. Karsa actually just shy.
And speaking of things that could be big for this fight, Seraph's Embrace just fully evolving there for Miru. He just got that last couple of stacks that he needed to hit 360. So having that extra shield going to go a long way in protecting him if PSG decide they need to take out the Talia. When we're looking at teleports, they're available for everybody except for Miru. He still, however, has the Weaver's Wall, so as long as he's somewhere remotely nearby, hanging out in top lane or mid lane, he will still be able to join the fight, and VKS are going to begin the Herald.
They're in a significantly stronger spot. PSG Talon ceded a lot of area of control. Karsa, though, looks like he might just be trying to sneak in to get the steal rather than take a full fight.
Yep, Karsa on the left, VKS control over the area for now. The wraparound is coming. Aja looking for his angle as Woody is already down. Morteus on a rampage. PSG wanted the pincer attack, but VKS was ready. Trimby going in again. Karsa's not fooling anybody with that clone, and now Maple's going to be your next target. Miru rides the blast going over the wall, and Trimby's ready to keep on going. It's a beautiful 1, 2, 3 alley-oop. VKS on a killing spree again. 8-2 game. Rift Herald in their pocket. They are smacking PSG right in the mouth.
The LTA second seed is popping off here against PSG Talon. There is just no control in these fights for PSG. Everything has gone astray, and not only are you getting these kills, you still have that Rift Herald now to try and break up a mid lane. You're taking control in sides, and PSG are just desperate to get anything on the map.
And remember, back in that first game that we saw VKS play against Team Secret Wales, the game was back and forth. It was close up until the Herald, and that was when VKS took the fight that they did not want to take. Team Secret Wales started running away with the game from there. Herald fight, check in the box.
This was a fight that PSG Talon didn't want to take. Like, Woody gets caught out almost immediately as this fight kicks off, as everyone jumps on. Aja whiffs on the follow-up on the ultimate with a great sidestep from Miru, and now your engage is completely gone. And Miru, a great wall, not only knocks back the monkey, but interrupts Maple's realm warp as well, so prevents that escape tool for PSG Talon, and they just chase them down so effectively.
And this is just beautiful. Pulverize, seismic shove, decimate, just juggling Maple. There's nowhere he can even move. He didn't have his flash, but even if he did, you're not going to get a chance to use it. Now the Herald's been summoned up in the mid lane, used to crash the tier 1 turret. Trimby's going to drive that one right into the tier 2. It's a 3,500 gold lead for VKS, and it's about to be 4K as that tier 2 falls. This is such an awesome early and mid game thus far from VKS.
Yeah, PSG Talon stepping out, seeing if they can catch VKS if they don't sync their resets, and PSG are going.
Karsa wants the engage. Miru flashing away with the flash follow coming in from Karsa. Meanwhile, VKS with the counter attack over the wall. It's Betty and Woody looking to get away as Miru survives. Betty's first to die and Woody follows. There's no way you're killing Boal as Karsa and Aja try to escape. Karsa's very low, and another rock flies over the wall. Now Aja will be next to die with a decimating smash pulverized combo. Boal's on a rampage. 4-0 for Brazil.
PSG thought they might have caught VKS slacking, but it's VKS expecting them to go for the play, and they catch them out as now. Trimby, does he end up finding Maple?
He
does. Erupt.
Oh, Maple gets caught here. Now, Maple has his flash to try to get away. He has Realm Warp as well. We'll see if he can try to use it, but no. He thought maybe the cooldowns weren't there, but Trimby had another Pulverize. It's a delayed ace for VKS.
And look at the setup here. PSG thought maybe we could get onto Miru, but a great flash away keeps him safe as the rest of the fight erupts on this bottom side, picking off Betty. But it's the reposition from VKS that means that they catch out PSG, and I understand what PSG were going for. That maybe if they don't sync their backs properly, we can catch people out, separate them as they go for those resets. But it's VKS who are ready for it and catch them all out.
And one thing I noticed in that replay, it's the same thing that you pointed out in the previous Herald fight. These public executions from Aja are not connecting. The Ambessa is never getting in onto the targets that he wants to get on top of, and it's making it so difficult for this champion who's supposed to be about backline access and putting threat onto carries to do that job.
And that's another dragon now, third of the name for VKS. Bounties available for PSG Talon 20 minutes into the game. And Atakan has only just spawned. PSG a little nervous about that Atakan being taken. Boal gets some damage put onto him.
Yeah, but he's Scion. He does not care even a little bit. 895 stacks there through Soul Furnace. Another public execution, another miss. Aja is just not hitting this critical spell on Ambessa, and Miru smells blood in the water. Aja smells honey fruits, and those might be able to get him away. Miru still continuing to use the speed bonus on the Talia. It's a solo kill for Miru. Aja dead for the third time this game. 0-3 and 0 on the Ambessa, not having the impact that PSG wants him to have, as VKS, now with their 7,000 gold lead, now with their soul point status, Miru Miru arrives into the fight. Disamas jumping straight on in. It's going to be 2 more kills for VKS. Maple and Betty are the only 2 left alive. Betty's going to be knocked back with another beautiful seismic shove. Trimby wants another headbutt pulled. The rest of the team isn't there. Trimby's very low. Maple at least gets 1 more, but Bawal wants the last little bit of damage to take out the enemy mid laner. Bawal with a hammer to his rib cage shatters Maple and finds his way through the enemy base. 1 more shield should hopefully keep him alive here, you would think. Aja's back, but he has no public execution. He can't try to stop Bawal. He's shoved back again by Miru, and Aja loses 2/3 HP. It's a 9,000 gold lead. It's about to be an Otacon for VKS.
Where's this Vivo Cade been at Worlds? This is not the team that I expected to see here today. PSG Talon pushed Gen G, pushed Hanwha Life, and it looked like VKS hadn't come alive all tournament long. But now, against the LCP 3rd seed, they are showing up in game number 1.
This is the VKS that beat 100 Thieves back in the LTA Finals weekend in Dallas. This team, when they're locked in, when they're ready to go, when they're coordinated, you said it earlier, Trimby and Miru have been playing wonderfully together so far this game, and I cannot give enough praises to Trimby's Alistar, 0, 2, and 17, a part of everything but 1 kill so far in this game, going for the dive onto Aja now, and again, it's that 1-2 punch with Miru to set it up and knock it down. The only kill Trimby hasn't been a part of was Miru solo killing Aja up in the top lane back when all the fighting was going on bottom.
These aren't punches anymore, Flowers. These are haymaker after haymaker. PSG are dropping to the floor. It's a KO.
It's a bar fight and PSG are stuck paying the tab. VKS are gonna take a big swig of victory and push their way into the enemy base. That top lane inhibitor turret is already down. Inhibitor is the target, and that one will melt. Bawal locking up Karsa, Maple, and Woody all on his own. Karsa with a defensive cyclone, but I don't think it's gonna matter. Wind becomes lightning, and lightning strikes Karsa. Disamas takes the kill, and VKS might just be looking for the end of the game. They got super minions marching down the top lane. It's not like they can take Baron yet. He's not even on the rift for another minute and a half, so they'll turn their attention over to the mid lane inhibitor turret. That one's gonna crack. We'll see if they can take the inhibitor. There's 20 seconds on Karsa, but everybody else on PSG is alive, and VKS backs away.
You might as well go back and spend that gold, because Baron hasn't spawned, and we have 3 items on Morteus. We have a 16 stack Magi's for Miru as well. VKS are commanding this game, and not only are they beating back PSG, but they are putting down a statement that they have arrived at Worlds.
Miru has not died, 6-0-9. Morteus has not died, 7-0-11. Bawal has not died, 6-0-8. The only 2 that have died are Disamas and Trimby. Disamas died in the fight that completely blew the game open for VKS, and Trimby has died twice. Well, once was kind of silly, but the other death was, again, just part of the big VKS machine.
Look, there's good deaths and then there's glorious deaths, and VKS are trending more towards the glorious.
It is a glorious game 1 for VKS indeed, as Bawal jumps in behind Karsa. Miru's got plenty of damage. Woody wants the quickness, but he's quickly finding his way towards another lost team fight. Aja finally hits a public execution, but it's way too late. Betty's next to die. Bawal 7 kills on the Scion leading the charge. Woody will be the final kill towards the ace. It's a triple for Morteus at the very end of the fight. 26-3. VKS will annihilate PSG in game number 1, and they are only 1 game away from moving on and staying alive at Worlds.
Holy VKS! That was sick! I mean, that was insane! I cannot believe they just dismantled PSG Talon like that!